Fine, no.
Okay. Welcome back to the From the Fabricator podcast. I'm your host, Max Pearlstein. Thank you so much for joining me once again on this journey through the wonderful industry of glass, glazing, and more. And today, again, as I say every time out, thrilled for the guests that I have been fortunate to get. And we'll get to those folks in a second. But before we do, huge thank you to my friends at FHC for the sponsorship of this episode. Meet the new FHC InstaQuote design and estimating program. Design, price, and quote your orders in minutes, not days. This is the fastest estimating tool in our industry. It will make you dangerous to your competitors and stand out for your clients. InstaQuote gives you a serious edge on fast-track jobs, reduces costly mistakes, and saves hours of time. It's the smartest way to scale your business with professional, ready-to-order quotes that talk directly to FHC's fulfillment systems. Whether it's all glass or aluminum-framed entrances, InstaQuote is more than a tool. It's a game changer. Turbocharge your estimating department today. Get started at FHC-USA.com. And again, thank you to the team there for the continued support. And real quick, before we get to the guests also, if you have not registered for Glass Build yet and you're looking for a code, use MAXPOD25, MAXPOD 25, and get that free entry to the show floor. Look forward to seeing you there. And please, if you see me, grab me, stop me, say hi. I'd love this to meet everybody. I always enjoy that. All right, coming up, we start off with Kevin Hardman. Fascinating guy, neat past, really enjoyable conversation. And then we finish with a duo that goes deep into the bird-friendly territory and lots to learn there. Heidi Trudell, who's a longtime expert in the bird place and bird space, and Alex Sobolev, who is no slack either. I mean, they were really put together, very interesting. Guardian Glass, those two represent, and it's well worth listening to because bird friendlies everywhere. So we start with Kevin, we finish with Heidi and Alex, and then on the other side, my TV picks and wrap up. Thank you, and here we go. Okay. I'm thrilled to be joined by Kevin Hardman, owner of Hardman Glazing Management. You can catch him and his company online at hardmanglazing, all one word.com. Kevin, thanks for taking the time to do the podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me on. It's it's always fun watching them, and then it's real exciting when you get to hop on.
Thrilled to have you here. Big fan of yours. We're going to talk about some of the stuff you do on social and some of the other effects you have on our industry, but we have to start with the background. And normally I say, just let's go into your background, your journey. But when I read that your family dated to 1897, and I understand it goes even further back, my family goes back to 1898. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, we've got that in common, which is pretty cool. So there's that whole setup. But before we got on the call, you were telling me about this goes back to 1892 or even earlier.
Yeah. And we can't even track how far back it truly goes, because that's the earliest that we have annotation for it. So my great grandfather, Fred Bank, and his brother, Joe, who eventually started Bank Brothers Glass in 1911, they were listed as journeyman glazers in the Yellow Pages in 1892. So obviously they started a bit before that. We don't even know. That's been lost to the annals of time, of course. But really cool to know that our lineage goes back that far, and all the different things that we've been passed down to get to the fourth generation where I sit.
That's awesome. I mean, I love my story from 1898 and the whole spiel, but yours got me beat. And I think you might, because there's always, I think it was Thad Ziegler was 1887. So I have a feeling the Hardman family, extended, goes beyond that. So congrats, you might have the furthest legacy in the U.S.
Well, we certainly, it's in the blood, right?
Yes.
And I remember my mom telling me when I was a kid, you don't have to be a glazer. But
yeah,
it kind of was the thing, and now looks like my daughter may even get into it here on the kind of late side. So kind of cool. Hopefully that comes to fruition.
I hope so, because I went through the same thing. I was told it was in my blood and didn't believe it until I got into it, and I realized like on day one it's in your blood. And neither of my kids are in it, but you never know. You never know. It could always happen. So
yeah, time does a funny thing. They see it and they get a little older and they're like, oh man, I'd hate to see that end. So
for sure. Well, let's talk about you, Kevin. Obviously it's in your blood. When did you start? And first of all, where were you born? When did you finally get into the industry? And then we'll talk a little bit more about Hardman glazing.
Yeah, so my dad way back when, obviously when he left my grandfather to kind of go his own path, he was in Colorado. He worked for Harding Glass out there. My brother was born out in Boulder. My mom got pregnant with me and they decided, hey, this is a lot of kids, a lot of stuff going on, and came back to California. I was born in Castro Valley. We My parents got a house in San Ramon. I mean, back when there was nothing there. In fact, they moved to Danville because they were building 680, and they're like, this is too much. So they went to where the orchards were, and that's kind of where we grew up. But my grandfather still was running the Bank Brothers Glass that had started all the way back in 1911. Alameda moved to San Mateo, where he ran it till the end of his life and career. And my dad had started his own company in Redwood City. So I started at age 6 to 8, sorting screws and
Yeah.
running vinyl and the silly stuff that doesn't count. But I got on jobs at 10, and that's when I felt like I was really getting somewhere. So that was, I got to, run all the screws, and I was actually, physically putting glass in at that point and stuff. And then when I was 12, the summer when I was 12, I turned 13 on the job. My dad sent me on my first out of town job, and it was with the Sacramento Post Office out there, and I was running the JLGs and bringing units up to the roof and setting clear story glass and doing the whole thing. And the federal inspectors at the time, which nowadays wouldn't happen, but they were like, "Holy cow, this. How old are you?" And I told them, "And what are you doing?" "I'm just setting glass." I was panicked. And they're like, "Who's running the job?" And I said, "Oh, my two uncles." And then they go to them, and my head, "Hey, this is my brother's son." So they end up going down, and my dad was telling him, "Hey, he doesn't have a shackle on his ankle. I'm paying the kid. He's enjoying himself." And so they came back and said he can stay, but you have to pay him prevailing wage. And at that point, I realized, this is how much you guys make. I think that solidified that I would never
Yeah.
leave the trade at that point.
Wow. Wow. 12. 12. You're running the JLG at 12. I mean, most
Yeah.
12-year-olds are, playing video games nowadays, but even back,
Yeah.
probably, that was probably the 80s for you when you're
Yeah, so that would have been, well, actually at 12, that would have been 90, 91, somewhere right
Okay,
in
yeah,
there.
so the Sega was out and there were video
Yeah.
games out, and so
Oh,
you're
yeah.
out on a job site. This is awesome. Did not know that. So
Yeah.
continue. So you grow up and you stay in the business and keep going, keep going.
Yeah. So, and again, we're kind of went back and forth between my grandpa's shop and my dad's. My dad wanted to make sure that I got the old world stuff. So I did some leaded glass with him, polishing, cutting glass, putty hackouts, all that kind of stuff. I mean, heck, he even had the powders, the little wood box of powders that you mixed into the putty so they didn't have to paint it. And like, it was just such a cool learning experience. And then with my dad, it was all the commercial stuff, curtain walls, storefronts. I told him at one point, like, I hate doors. I'll do anything but doors. And he said, "You're not good until you do doors." So I did doors for about 2 years. I made most of the doors for AGA in California, and then
Interesting.
I'd go and do all the adjustments on them until I got good. But then 2000, after I had graduated college, because my dad said, if you want to be part of it, you got to go to school. So I did economics and business administration, and if I would have had the gumption to stay, I could have got my double minor in psychology, but I was like 16 credits shy and exhausted of school.
Yeah.
I needed to make money. We came out, my dad and I started Hardman Glazing Systems in 2000.
Okay.
And that one was when I made the shift. I got
Gotcha.
tired of the commercial stuff, the cookie cutter. Just I needed the next thing. That's kind of how our family's been driven, I think. And so we moved into oversized glass, historic work, and high end residential. And as we kind of rolled through that, about 8 years, maybe 8 to 10 years after that, we got into the ultra high end custom and all the billionaires and the real fancy products. And we've run with that, until that we closed that company in 2023 when my dad retired.
Okay.
And I had started Hardman Glazing Management when my
Gotcha.
dad had said, I'm going to retire. And I said, you got to be positive. And he was like, "No, I swear I'm going to do it." And so in 2020, right in the heat of COVID,
Yeah.
I started Hardman Glazing Management. Kind of they overlapped there for a handful of
Couple
years.
years. Yeah, sure. No, that's that's a heck of a story. So you've touched it all, which is great that you are now in this new role. And so for those who don't know what Hardman Glazing Management does, can you give them a rundown?
Yeah, 100%. So as again, the next trend, we with these high end products, with the high-end clientele and architects, GCs, they've gotten to know the quality that we do. I mean, few people know that the green shims are the 32nd inch shims, but we actually have the yellow shims made for us, which is the 64th. So we are hyper critical in how we do things. We overlap control lines to make sure that we're dead on everywhere we go. So I took that and I wanted to go bigger. And so I run a project management company that uses my either ex-employees or friends, connections with throughout the trade, the best of the best, in my opinion. And those are my sub tiers. I bring them these projects, I help oversee them, and it kind of is beneficial to both sides of the process. I've been able to do work in 25 states in the last 5 years, and
Nice.
we've installed product from 14 countries. And little spoiler alert for you
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
my one of my closest partners in California, Josh, he and I just started another company last week.
Wow.
And so, yeah, this one we're going back to the Hardman Glazing Systems name because one, it fits what we're doing, and two,
Yeah.
it's an homage to my dad,
Yeah.
who passed away last December. So, God rest his soul. I
Yes.
kind of want to keep him going.
Yes.
But it's going to be a dealer installer company. So the two will sister pair the companies together, and we will supply custom products. From glass all the way through the window products, whether it's steel, stainless steel, aluminum, bronze, you
Right.
name it, wood, of course. And yeah, we see a hole in the market for guys who not just are the dealers
Right.
who are making a heck of a markup, but aren't installing it and kind of aren't really fully in the process, in our opinion. So we're
Yeah.
gonna we're gonna do that too, and we're already looking at locking down 9 companies we've been in contact with, and we're already bidding jobs, which is crazy because I just got my EIN, so
Yeah.
we're kind of off and running.
Yeah, you're already a busy man. How are you going to jam that through? I'm just curious. I mean, did they extend where you live, or you got like on a 36-hour day out there?
Yeah, we always say a rolling stone gathers no moss, and I'm an idiot. No,
Yeah,
yeah, it is really funny because I am so busy
yeah,
and the days are so long. And when we first proposed this, it was over drinks and it was almost a joke. And 3 days later, we're like, yeah, let's just do it. Screw it,
wow,
might as well. And that's, I think, the cool part is what's got my daughter interested,
yes,
because she's like, oh man, it's like a whole different side of it, like the sales side and kind of oversight of the products. And she's already studying up on products, and she's got her tape measuring down, and she's kind of getting a little jazzed about it. So that gives me an extra kick in the pants to be like, you know what, who needs sleep?
that's awesome. And I assume your daughter's not 12 like you are. I assume, yeah,
Well, she's 16, so
you start them young. I love it.
yeah,
It's
that's
perfect.
it.
I love
I
it.
know I'd love for my son to do it too, but he's in college right now to be a firefighter. He's wanted that since he was
Nice.
4, so I'm not taking that away from him.
Nice. Yeah, it serves the public. I love it. I love it. That's great.
Amen.
I've got Kevin Hardman with me, owner of Hardman Glazing Management and another company coming soon. Hardmanglazing.com is the website to check him out right now. You mentioned GCs and architects a minute ago. You work with a lot of these guys and gals. I'm curious do they have a common issue with our industry? Is there something that you constantly hear of, I wish the glass industry would do X sort of thing? Is there something common you hear?
Yeah, I mean, really, to be honest, there's a couple. Lead times are a killer, especially with the custom products. A lot of them are, on the short side, it's 12 to 18 weeks. On the long side, it's 28 to 32.
Yeah.
So that's a hard one. We try and get in super early on that to help them out, because we'll get a call and they'll be like, hey, man, we got this project. We need these type of windows, and it's going to go in 2 months. And I'm like, no, it's not actually. Uh, so that makes it a little bit challenging. The other one, too, is there's a real big push for zero threshold sliders.
Okay.
I love them. They're
Yeah.
beautiful. I get it. But, especially like we do a lot of work in Hawaii. I'll be there. Actually, I leave tomorrow. But out there, there's so much higher requirements that they can't pull that off.
Yeah.
And then they want you to warranty for wind and air and water and everything else that goes with it. And you're like, you've created a system that it's almost impossible to do that.
Yeah.
So those are the real kickers. So there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes to try and find a way to make that work. But it's a challenge. We're always challenged on design. We get a lot on my side. Is it possible to do this? And I always tell them, within the bounds of physics, I can do anything. So
Yeah.
so we'll do pretty much anything. And a lot of the companies that we work with are really great about stretching their knowledge base and creating stuff just to fit whatever we're doing, because these clients that we work for, we're under NDAs on every job. I
Yeah.
don't get to put pictures up on my website anymore, which is really sad because I'm
Yeah.
locked down. But the projects are phenomenal. We do some wild stuff.
I think that's part of the reason, people feel comfortable with working with you is they can trust you and they know you'll go above and beyond, obviously, and do everything you can.
That's the plan. I mean,
Yeah.
for us, like for me in particular, everything I put my name on, it's like a legacy behind me that
Hmm.
I have to uphold. I carry that weight on my shoulders
Yep.
heavy.
Yes.
It's like I've got people looking down on me and I'm like, I got you, I got you.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you're saying. I mean, I never thought I'd be in that spot, but I know what you're saying. You're
Yeah,
doing well. I'm sure everybody looking down is very proud of you. There's no doubt
I
about that.
appreciate
So,
that.
I got Kevin Hardman with me, owner of Hardman Glazing Management. Check them out at hardmanglazing.com. Fun one. I always break up the podcast about halfway through. And again, with your personality, I am very curious to hear the answer on this one. Three people, either dead, live, fictional, that you would want to have dinner with, and why? Who are the three characters that would have dinner with Kevin Hardman?
Man, that's a tough one. It really is, because there's so many people across all the breadths of
Yes.
thing that I have done. That would be a real treat to go back to. Because I mean, obviously, on the fun side of my life, which I have no longer time for those kind of things. Plus, I kind of broke myself in the trade. But did a lot of rock climbing and did a lot of MMA in the past. So there are a couple guys. I know Hicks and Gracie, who is one of the main brothers of the
Yeah.
Gracie Academy.
Sure.
I'd love to sit down with that guy and just pick his brain. He finished his career amidst whether it's jujitsu tournaments or cage combat and all that stuff. He was like, I think it was like 465-0 or something wild like that.
Yeah.
And just one of those guys, like his mindset, not just for the fight game, but I think for life,
Yeah.
would be really fascinating to see how he approaches things. That would be a real kick in the pants.
Sure.
And then, Abraham Lincoln, the things that he did,
Yeah.
and to take on a global establishment kind of in a way at that time. And ironically, my I don't even know what level it would be, great uncle, great I don't even know at this point, but Cyrus Walker on my mom's side of the family, he actually was in the same law firm as Lincoln, and
Interesting.
and
Yeah.
was yeah, I was part of that. And so some of Lincoln's quotes have kind of trickled down through the
Hmm.
family. Like it's better to be thought a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubt. But just his perspective on life and his ability to see through the establishment in a sense, and how he would approach things. I think that would be a real fascinating one for sure.
For
And
sure.
then, I mean, really on my own personal line, because I know a lot of crazy stories, my great grandfather, Fred Bank. I mean,
Yeah.
good grief.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I would love to sit down and know how the trade was back in the day and what he saw, because we've got some great stories where, back in the original days, to get your J card or your journeyman card, you had to hack out, scrape clean, bed, set glass, and putty 150 lights in a day. That's
Oh,
that's
wow.
it's a lot. Like,
Yeah.
you look at guys now, most people can't putty, let alone do that.
Yeah.
And there was a famous story that I can only, it's hearsay to me, but
Yeah.
that was passed down for years. And I heard first from my grandpa that the lead for one of these jobs in San Francisco came down, and they're like, "Where is Freddie? What the heck's going on? Where is he?" And they're like, "Oh, he's down the street at the bar." And he's like, "What the heck?" So he goes down there and he goes, "Fred, what the hell's going on? It's 11:30. You're drinking." He's like, "I'm done." And the guy goes, "There's no way you're done." He's like, "Hey, I don't care how long it takes those guys. You want me to do 150? I did my 150. I'm done for the day." And that was
Incredible.
it. So,
Incredible.
that kind of guy, his speed, his ethic, that kind of created this whole line getting down to me. he'd be a hoot to sit down and talk to for sure.
Wonderful choices. Wonderful choices. I think that is awesome. Very, very cool. Very, very cool. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that with me. A
Of
couple
course.
more for Kevin Hardman, busy, busy man. You may recognize him. If you're watching this on YouTube, you may recognize him from his Tools Day videos that come up on LinkedIn. They're awesome, incredible. How'd you start this? I mean, I know you have tools probably dating back to 1892 and
I
earlier.
do. I
I
do.
figured that, but what got you going on the Tools Day thing? And it's amazing. I'm sure you probably hear about it wherever you go.
Yeah, it's super fun what it's become. In the very beginning, I had never really been on social media. I kind of, once I finally got onto LinkedIn, I was like, I need some kind of a shtick, to kind of make, get my face out there. And so all I was doing was posting pictures of some tools, and obviously I have tools all the way back to my great grandfather. The case behind me is completely loaded with them. And I've got, now that my dad passed, unfortunately, I got a lot more to go through, which is
Yeah.
good for the tools day, but horrible for me. But,
Yes. Yes.
such is life. But yeah, so I'd post pictures and I basically would just pose the question, do you know what this is and what it's for?
Yeah.
And that created some interaction. And that was pretty fun to start with. And then I was approached by my best friend, Andrew Herring,
Hmm.
and he's like, hey, man, I've got some cool stuff on my side. And so we started kind of just tag teaming, and he's like, "Oh, we got to do it. Let's just do it on Tuesdays." And he's a
Yes, he
marketing
is.
genius.
Yes,
He's
he
like,
is.
"We'll call it Tools Day," and I was like, "This is fantastic. I love your idea. Let's roll with it." And then he was the first one to do a video. He did that one with the suction cups where he dropped the squid. And I was like, oh my gosh, he just put the pressure on me super hard. And so then from that point, it just snowballed into, now what it's become. And he was really cool. He kind of stepped back, with his role now at FHC. And he goes, hey, man, this is your thing. Run with it. Have fun with it. And so just been trying to put him out hard because I
Yeah.
travel so much,
Yes.
super busy. But it's been a treat, and it's cool to go to the trade shows and see people that recognize you and appreciate it, because I feel like I just make them because I think it's fun, and if anyone watches them, that's the added bonus.
For sure, for sure. And if you're not following Kevin or linked into Kevin, do it because those videos are well worth it when they pop up in your feed. I know LinkedIn's algorithm's goofy these days, but I love when they
Yeah.
pop up in my feed. Sometimes it says 3W next to them, like 3 weeks. I never saw this, and but it's great
But
stuff.
thank
And
you, I appreciate that.
kudos to you. It's awesome. It's awesome. A couple more questions for you before we let you get back to your busy time. Current trend or product that's got you jazzed up. Again, you touch so many things, and you mentioned earlier, you've worked with so many different people in different countries. Any current product or trend that you're like, this really is going to be big?
They're really going from switch glass to now the phasing of the electrochromic. I just think that's really cool. It's as they get it clearer and clearer, that's better. I mean, clarity kind of being the
Yeah,
closest they can get at this point, because there is a little haze to it, which kind of creates some issue. But I just love that whole, you can see out your bathroom, but if you want the privacy, you can phase it in, or if it's too sunny, you can dial that in. I find that technology is advancing so fast that we're going to see some really cool stuff coming out of that, which I'm super excited. And then some of the automation that we're seeing,
yeah,
especially for us, we've got it's an undisclosed person in an undisclosed location, but a couple of the buildings that face each other, you got 50-foot sliders on either side and 30-foot that are facing each other with an infinity pool looking at the ocean. And from this guy's app, you can open any single one whole building at a time, all six at the same time, and everything goes in. And now that includes guillotine walls, which I just did 7 in Michigan, including two corner sections that go down. I mean, it's phenomenal what you're seeing. And
yeah,
then on top of that, size.
yeah,
What was it, 2018? I think the biggest furnace went in Germany,
yeah,
11 and a half foot by 65 foot. And they just did that one building with all those huge pieces. They were like 14,600 pounds a piece for the units or whatever. I mean, it's so amazing to see. And having only been able to lift kind of with your back in the old days,
yeah.
or rudimentary cut machines, I mean, what we can do now and the stuff that we can put in, when people, oh, can you do a 24-foot door? Like, yeah, like it's not even that big a deal anymore.
Yeah.
That's what's so crazy about it. So
That is why, and big is really the jumbo really is a trend that's just going to keep going basically because
yeah,
they want to get bigger and bigger and bigger.
yeah, I know they're going to have to start making bigger trucks. I don't know how they got those 65 footers out to that job, but the pictures are wild.
Oh, I can imagine. You have to send me a couple of those. That's
I'll
awesome.
shoot them
That's
after this for
Yeah,
sure.
very much so. Very cool. Very cool. And I think you're dead on. There's some interesting trends there and automation and equipment and in the switch glass too, which I do think is only really scratching the surface. I think it's going
Yeah,
to keep going. All right.
yeah,
Last but not least, the economy. I always ask, pretty much in every podcast, and I like getting different views from different people in different areas. And you obviously are coming from a couple different angles: the consultant's angle, the man on the street angle. I mean, you've got your fingers in probably a lot more baskets than people like me do. And so I'm just curious, how you feeling about the economy now? What's it looking like? What are you hearing from people out there going into 2026? What's the take out there?
yeah. And I mean, obviously, like you said earlier, as an economics major too, I've
That's
followed trends on every level. Consulting side super important. You know
Yep.
that. Just because we need to kind of know what avenue to kind of swerve towards to follow the trends and to
Hmm.
see what people are wanting, because I think that helps you leverage in the market. And for me too, we've bought and sold, my wife and I, a handful of homes over the years, because you just see, you're like, oh man, this is unsustainable. Something's going to happen. This market's going to pop, sell at the high point, and then buy it when it dumps. And we've done well with that too, which is great. But when it comes to the trade, I mean, for me, the nice thing is working for billionaires, it's pretty much recession proof for the most
Yeah.
part. These guys make so much money on interest that they defer costing by cross-lining the ledger. And when they do that, they can buy property and build, and it's an asset that they can have in their portfolio, but it's also a write-off against returns. So, super important for them to do that. And then we just follow these guys around. For us,
Yeah.
we've done 5 properties with 15 buildings on them for one guy.
Yeah.
So for us, we see that now, especially more than ever. There was a lot of tumultuous talk in the beginning of this year with some of the tariffs and other
Hmm.
things that are
Hmm.
going on. But really, when you see the writing on the wall, the amount of investment, I think it's like at 8.9 trillion coming into the country over the next couple of years that have been signed and guaranteed. And people are starting to feel that with those opening up, and there's a lot of activity coming back to the states, the spending's coming. And I mean, again, I don't know why I started this other company. I mean, I do in my head, but I'm crazy. I mean, we're booked out until September of next year. And so we're already bidding jobs in 2027. For us, we're looking at, luckily, the long lead times. It's kind of what we have to do also on top
Hmm.
of that.
Hmm.
But we're seeing so much stuff come in to bid that it's wild. So I
Nice.
think that there is a windfall of opportunity coming, especially with some of these people that are going to ramp up factory side here. They're going to have to upgrade some of those factories.
Yeah.
There'll be some good commercial work that will come from that. Some of these really cool products that are coming in where they can refurbish old buildings, maintain the look, but upgrade,
Yep.
like whether it's VIG or, XIR, or any of those kind of cool products that are going to come out that really help to maintain and increase your energy level, especially in the Californias and New Yorks,
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
where you've got kind of some older buildings and you've got some really bad performing buildings.
Hmm.
So I see nothing but good things, and I'm looking at backlogging 2 years in advance,
Nice. Nice.
with what's coming. So I've got an optimistic look at what's coming our way, and I'm pretty excited for the future of all the companies that I'm trying to build up.
Yeah, I'll take it. I know it's a great insights there on what's going on, and you're involved in a lot of money on the sidelines, which I think we're all waiting for it to burst, but you're seeing it because you're so far ahead of everybody else in the pipeline. So that's
Yeah,
that makes you feel pretty good that at least you're seeing something out there because there are some territories that are pretty soft right now.
yeah,
But it's nice to know that there's things out there and inquiries are still going. So no, I
yeah.
appreciate that update. And that's obviously, I think that may be one of the reasons you could start another business because you could see
Yeah.
it. There's something coming down the pipe.
Well, and you know how it is. You can ride volatility and you can stress out about it. And a lot of people, what I think is the mistake, and sometimes you have to, I mean, obviously, but you contract your view because
Mhm.
you're so worried about the projections or so this, but if you can kind of read some of these trends and you can kind of see, oh man, there's already a shift. And then now with onboarding coming back to the country and there's work coming there, start seeking those things out and approach them ahead of time instead of waiting for it maybe to fall in your lap. We're a little bit lucky on that front because homeowners, GCs, architects, and manufacturers look to us and say, hey, we really want you involved. That helps us out a ton that we have created a reputation in that. And
Yeah.
those are a lot of the companies that we're trying to lock up in this new version of Hardman glazing systems to try and get that thing off and kicking. And then I got to figure out how to do it all.
You will. That's a 36-hour day out there. So yeah, it must
That's a
be.
fact.
I,
Yeah,
I love it. Well, I appreciate you taking the time. I assume I'll see you in Orlando at Glass Build. You're going to make an appearance there, hopefully.
absolutely.
Good, good.
Absolutely. Yep. I'll be there with bells on.
Can't wait, can't wait. So I've got Kevin Hardman with me, owner of Hardman Glazing Management, hardmanglazing.com. Check them out. It's amazing work you do. Thank you so much for doing this podcast. Lots of eye-opening insights we're taking away from this. So I very much appreciate it. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you having me on. Always a pleasure, sir.
You're awesome. Thank you.
Hey Glazers and Fabricators, FHC, the frameless hardware company, is here to support your business. In addition to offering a complete selection of glazing tools and supplies to get the job done right, we design, engineer, and manufacture a comprehensive offering of frameless shower door systems, heavy glass doors, aluminum entrances and storefronts, architectural railings, transaction and display hardware. Privately owned and American made, FHC prioritizes you, the customer. You now have a choice. Visit fhc-usa.com.
Okay. Next up on the From the Fabricator podcast, I am thrilled to have Heidi Trudell, Regional Technical Advisor, and Alex Sobolev, Channel Marketing Manager, Guardian Glass, and you can find them online at guardianglass.com. We're getting into the birds, folks, and we got experts with us. Heidi, Alex, thank you so much for doing the podcast.
Thank you.
Awesome. So always start off with your backgrounds, where you're born, grew up, how you made it to this present time. And I'm excited because I've met you once before a long time ago, Heidi. I've never met you, Alex, this first time. So this is going to be cool to kind of get to know you guys a little bit better. So let's start with you, Heidi. Tell me a little bit about your background and how we got to today.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm a Houstonian who went to college in Illinois, and that's where I got hooked on bird collision research and advocacy. When I moved back to Texas, I just kept moving to smaller and smaller towns. I was a field biologist, worked at zoos, libraries, did all kinds of stuff, but ended up in a tiny town outside of Big Bend National Park. And then 10 years ago, I moved to Michigan. So I kind of got out of field work because it's really cold up here. But I started consulting with Guardian around 2018, and then they offered me the technical advising position early last year, so 2024.
Wonderful. Congrats. And so from being born in Houston to now living in Michigan, a little bit different climate there, those two places.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, I'm in Michigan too, so it's good to have you here. Alex, let's talk about you. Give me your background, please.
Well, my background is in design thinking and industrial design, some consumer research. Um, and I've been working for Guardian for almost 10 years. I've been on the Bird Friendly project since it started in about 2017. Really interesting space coming from my background because uh, constantly translating between different stakeholders that
Yeah.
really don't talk each other's languages. Architects, building owners, scientists, advocacy around bird-friendly issues, and also birds. The
Yeah.
whole space you're trying to interact with an animal that's not a human and kind of convince it to do something that you want it to do, and that's a really fun design project. Personally, I was born in what is now Ukraine. While it was still part of the Soviet Union, my family came to the U.S. in the 90s. Grown up around Detroit, and then went to school at the University of Michigan. So I've stayed in Michigan since I came here.
Nice. Very cool. U of M guy. So that works, and I like the background. All right, so let's start to dig in a little bit, and I'll start with you, Heidi. Uh, for those who do not know, and obviously the Guardian PR team is fabulous, and so there's probably not a lot of people who don't know. But for those who don't know, talk a little bit about Guardian's bird-friendly options out there and what you've got going on right now.
Sure. So at a high level, Guardian offers three bird-friendly deterrent technologies. That's bird-friendly ceramic frit, bird-first etch, and also bird-first UV. So that's kind of a good, better, best portfolio arrangement based on impact of occupant views. All of these options have been evaluated by ABC, that's the American Bird Conservancy. They're the ones who assign threat factor scores. So all of ours have a score of 25 or better, so they're compliant for codes like New York City. And our low E coatings can be paired with third-party deterrents as well if needed.
Nice. And the New York City thing is huge. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. Alex, I think you were about to say something. That's a big piece to get. That's a big number to beat.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think right now New York's probably building more bird-friendly structures than any other place in the continent.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. So you got the frit, the etch, and the UV. And so Heidi, it sounds like you said, it covers everything, which makes your life a little bit easier because you have an option for everything.
Yeah, and because New York City has the strictest standard, a lot of other codes allow up to a 30, but because we meet New York City code, it works across all of those codes.
Perfect. They say what if it happens in New York, it can happen anywhere. So there, you've pulled that
Exactly.
off. I love it. I love it. All right. So this all kind of got started when I put on my blog about a story about an eagle flying through glass, breaking into a home. And it was, I was blown away by the story. And the question I put up on my blog was, would bird friendly be a part of this? Because I'm used to smaller birds, not an eagle. So Jen from Guardian, Jen Price wrote me and said, "Hey, I can get you an answer for that." And so that's how this all came together. So Heidi, the eagle is if bird friendly glass was there, what happens? Or is this something completely, different?
So the long and the short of it is it depends. I think in the link that you shared, the rehabber addressed it really, really well. The birds that are most likely to hit buildings are the ones that fly within the height range of buildings. So eagles, because they're generally out in more exposed areas, don't often hit much because they're avoiding tighter spaces.
Right.
So in a case where they are dodging, in this case being chased by another bird, um, that's when they're more likely to hit something. So when you have like our or normal bird window collision cases, like I call out hummingbirds all the time because they are just so prolific with strikes. Um, they're feeding on flowering plants that
Mhm.
humans often put around our structures.
Right.
So they're often at human height. And because they're spending so much time in areas that we have made attractive for ourselves and them, they're extremely high risk. So even in the Midwest, we'll get anything to like in the 20% range for hummingbirds and window collision studies. In California, it can be over 42% per the Cal Academy of Sciences. So when you've got those numbers compared to, say, not hummingbird, we just said hummingbirds. Um, when you're looking at hummingbird numbers compared to, say, eagle strikes,
Hmm.
those are going to be totally different.
Yeah.
But the way they move through space is going to be dictated by what they can see, how far in advance they can see it, how obvious it is. Um, so it is definitely worth noting that any material that is transparent or reflective, and that includes polished granite, polished metal, is fair game for birds to hit. So we have to be aware of image formation on all of our construction materials, regardless of our concern over hummingbirds to eagles.
Right,
So,
right.
okay,
Location too. I mean, that makes a lot of
exactly.
sense. And I didn't even think about the location. That is the big thing. So very cool. You solved the problem there. So I love it. That's perfect. I've got Heidi Trudell with me, regional technical advisor at Guardian Glass, along with Alex Sobolev, channel marketing manager. Alex, jumping over to you on this one. There's a lot of different things with bird friendly, and Heidi mentioned there's etch, there's kind of good, better, best sort of scenario
Yeah.
with the frit, the etch, the UV. What are some of the things that maybe throw off designers or people don't understand with bird friendly glass?
Well, I think people don't understand the sheer diversity of solutions that are available. You have a ton of new materials that are coming into the market. You also have design solutions that are coming from the shape of the building, how it sits in its environment. All these things are kind of factors that will change the risk profile and how it's going to interact with nature and the animals around the space. Um, and the other thing to note is that all of these materials have a different kind of visual effect on the building. So they create a different amount of contrast. And sometimes you need to kind of mix and match to get the optimal performance you want from a space. And so there's some basic rules of thumbs that are coming out because of the science right now, but not everyone really knows them. The first one is that really the turn should be on the first surface, the outermost surface of the glass, if possible. That's the only place where you can truly and kind of interrupt the reflection that's formed on the glass. And that's one of the ways that you're signaling to the animals that there's going to be a barrier or something that they should watch out for in front of them. The other thing is number two is pattern spacing. So
Right.
if you're using a pattern, it should be kind of distributed across the entire surface of the material. And the spacing should be about 2 inches. Because as Heidi was saying, hummingbirds, hummingbirds are small creatures.
Right.
They're moving very fast through agile environments. And as you get larger from 2 inches apart from the pattern elements, that's when the smaller species of birds can kind of sneak through and try to find their way through it and not be slowed down as much.
Right.
Uh, and those numbers have evolved over the years. A lot of the testing institutions don't test with smaller birds, so you've heard 2x4 probably for a
Yes.
while in space. Now 2x2 is becoming more of the best practices advice. Um, and then again, depending on uh, how strict your particular use case is, and if you're like a zoo, you might have a very high tolerance for performance. If you're a commercial building, you might be more relaxed than the zoo. But the other general rule of thumb is the easier it is to see one of these materials, the more effective it's going to be. One specific example there is, we often talk to architects, and even with a material like frit, which is very easy to see and highly effective as a deterrent, oftentimes architects want to use like a dark gray. And dark gray probably has one of the harder times of being seen just
Yeah.
because it blends into so many different colors.
Hmm.
And so there's always this kind of balancing act between how visible is the material to humans and how is it going to perform in the real life. And you have again, you have to really look at your building and understand, okay, where do I want to put what materials to get what effect for people and for animals?
Interesting. And the gray, it does, it's dark gray is terrible for this. I mean, that's, because a lot of time the framing and, everything that Heidi
Yeah,
talked about earlier, there's a lot at play there. So a
but
lot of things to think of. Go ahead.
it's still one of the more popular colors that you see. So, like I said, I think it's an evolving space, and those are kind of the three rules of thumb that should be considered to get something that's really effective.
Super. Very, very helpful. Very, very helpful. I've got Heidi and Alex with me from Guardian Glass. Check them out online, guardianglass.com. Everything under the sun on that site. I always break up the podcast about halfway through with a fun question. And for you guys, do you have a favorite saying or inspirational message that drives you? I'll start with you, Heidi. Anything that you have to repeat to yourself or you remember or you keep in mind?
Oh, I'm guilty as charged. I do need to kind of cushion this by saying I am from Texas.
Uh-huh.
I actually drive an F-150,
Nice.
but the saying that lives in my head rent free is unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. And that is from the Lorax because Dr. Seuss nailed it because,
Wow.
nobody else is speaking for the trees, but birds too.
That
So
that
yeah.
works for for what your mission is in life. That's perfect. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah. I just need people to know that like I'm not just a Lorax. I have other nuance in my life as well.
No, I think that's fantastic, and those who miss the Lorax are scrambling to Dr. Seuss right now to check that out. But I love it.
Agreed.
That's fantastic, fantastic. Alex, I don't know how you're going to top this.
Oh
Challenge
man,
is up to
it's a
you.
tough one.
Yeah.
So I like to play this board game, Go. It's like the Asian version of chess.
Okay.
And it's interesting because it's been played for thousands of years, and there's a lot of kind of philosophic, deep thought statements around the game. And one of my favorites is your greatest strengths lead to your greatest weaknesses.
Hmm.
And in the game, it's really talking about sometimes you either defensively or offensively build up this kind of impenetrable area or are very strong. But when you do that, you're almost always leaving something else exposed.
Yeah.
And I find that in almost every aspect of life, you can begin to use this as a tool to figure out like, oh, where am I potentially like missing out on, or maybe where should I reallocate some of my efforts?
That's a good. You two. I asked this question a lot, and you guys just nailed it. It's fantastic. So, very, very, very impressive there. Thank you very much on that one. And I believe you may have a question for me. I was given a heads up that I'm going to get a question from you guys.
Your favorite bird?
Thank you. I struggled. I did get the tip that this was going to happen, this might sound like ultra generic, but I've always loved cardinals. I love the color.
Mhm.
And then I started to get in my head because I like the Oriole as well, but the Cardinal always, whenever I see them, whenever they come to our feeder, I just, mesmerized. So
Iconic. Yeah.
yeah, it is, but I'm afraid people are like, oh, come on, come up with something original. But I like the Cardinal, so that works. So I'm glad you guys asked me. I was honored to be asked. That was very cool. All right,
At
we
least
got
you had an easy answer and you didn't need a top five. So.
no, thank you for that. Yes, I would have probably really had to dig deep there, but I like it, and you guys nailed that one. So thank you very much. I've got Heidi Trudell and Alex Sobolev with me, Guardian Glass. We got a few more questions. These two are busy folks, and I'm glad they've given me some time. Alex, this one it was funny because I really had never thought of it until Jen brought it up to me. Was having multiple deterrent solutions on one build. I always thought that, if somebody put up, a building and they picked UV, they'd have UV everywhere. Obviously, that's not the case. I'm being given that heads up. How are architects approaching this? Why has this come to light? And why was I under a rock and missed it all this time?
Well, I think again, it's a new space, and we don't really know what the architects and the market is doing around this material and these solutions. And I was in New York in March, and I've also had some conversations with our sales team in New York since, and we both agreed that maybe up to 45% of the projects that we see use multiple deterrents on that one project.
Interesting.
And when you talk to architects, you realize that they're trying to navigate very different trade-offs. And one of the trade-offs that's important is cost. Another one is energy performance and efficacy. And so um, you'll see a lot of buildings that will take one area of a building and really optimize it for views. They'll use high transparent deterrent, maybe in a lobby or in a storefront, and then in a different area where let's say a feature apartment that might have another deterrent that's slightly less visible than something like a frit, and then maybe a lower rent apartment will have something like a frit. So you see all of these kind of rationalization and value engineering things happening where one material goes somewhere else because of cost, and a different material goes here, and you're optimizing by what the use is inside of that building.
Interesting. So yeah, again, I always had that assumption that they went with one, and it was on all four all four
Yep.
sides or whatever the case may be. So that was and your explanation makes perfect sense, and that's good as long as they're using it.
Yeah.
I think that's the story there. And then moving over to you, Heidi. I mean, I think that you know wait, I got hung up on my questions. Yeah. So Heidi, why should the experts get involved soon and early in the process? Because I think that is one thing that at least in the beginning of the bird friendly trend, it was late. And it was because people like you got involved and said, are you going to put bird friendly on? And it was kind of an afterthought. How's that happening now where people are getting involved early, and why should they get involved as early as
Yeah.
possible?
So the sooner the better. I tell folks as soon as they have an address for a project, that is when I can start helping because it gives you better design control, better manage of your costs. Um, by the time you are trying to fix something, so prior to Guardian, a lot of my freelance consulting was, oops, we just built this. It's too late, right? Like, no, actually, it's not too late, but here are your options, and they're really expensive. So, some of these retrofits are $13 to $17 per square foot by the time they're installed.
That's a big number. Yeah.
Yeah. And depending on the product that you get, lowest bidder is not going to have a great warranty.
No.
So if you get a good warranty, that's still, if you're maybe really lucky, a 15-year warranty, which that is going to cost you a fair bit, but it saves you in the long run. But yeah,
The
making sure
retrofit
that you have,
process.
The retrofit. Yeah.
yeah, so making sure that you've got the right product to start with is really, really important. As Alex pointed out, we can help you early in the process to figure out, oh, if you're already using a laminate on part of the building, then you have more options on that part of the building that won't be as scary for your budget. We can help you identify parts of the building that will be lower risk versus parts that will, like, absolutely, definitely, if you have to really narrow your budget down. Um, a lot of places that don't have code still have people who want to build something bird friendly, but maybe I mean, no project ever has too much of a budget to play with. So identifying where you really need to focus your bird deterrence on is helpful. Or making sure that if you don't have everything in the budget right now, yeah, it is going to cost you later, but we can identify what parts of the building will be cheaper and easier to retrofit and will still, have an aesthetic balance. So just pulling people in as early as possible, just mostly it is cost management, but yeah, the factors just keep going.
No, that's and if you don't get involved early, and especially a lot of municipalities demand it anyway, so you don't have a choice. You need to jump on in. And so on that note, Alex, speed of change is pretty intense. So here I'm learning a bunch today from you guys, and I know things have changed dramatically with ABC and other things, but the standard I can't say it, standardization, I can't say it. Can you help me clear it up? And I'm going to learn how to say that word. I can't believe I can't say that word. Help me clear up the confusion out there.
Sure. The space, it's been around since the 70s about. So Professor Daniel Clem, I think, was one of the first to do research around window collisions and birds back in the 70s. But it took a long while to really kind of gain steam and be recognized more globally and in the general public. I think in the last decade, we've really seen a spike in that knowledge and awareness. Um, but because of that, you basically are seeing kind of at least for us, we're seeing the first wave of buildings get finished with some of these solutions right now. And a lot more researchers are coming into the space and looking at different ways of testing products and different perspectives on the issue. And every year, the field is kind of learning more about works and what doesn't work.
Right.
And again, if you're looking back all the way to the 70s, we've had um, at different points in times certain recommendations by the experts in the space. Do this and you'll get fewer strikes. One great example, for a long time, there was this belief that, oh, if you angled the glass down, you'll get fewer collisions.
Mm.
And now that's been proven to not work. It really matters. Okay, what are you going to be seeing in the glass when it's angled down? And we definitely know of projects that thought that would be the way to mitigate this issue, and they happen to have a wetland below them, and so they're reflecting all this beautiful habitat, and they're still getting collisions, right? But we have not fully kind of scrubbed some of this earlier knowledge in the space because it's still growing and not everyone is familiar with it. And they might find articles from the past that say, hey, do this. And that this is the wrong thing to do. And I think it's one of the reasons why it's important to kind of talk to people who are knowledgeable about the current state of the art in this space, because there's actually a lot of older information that you have to wade through in order to get something that's done right.
There is, and it's funny because we have that on building codes too.
Mhm.
Where there are still people that are using 2015 IBC sort of thing, and so that I guess it tracks, but it is a shame that because this you need to get up to speed with it, and
Yeah.
I think that's the challenge you guys have to make sure you're educating people along the way. So no, I appreciate that. I've got Heidi Trudell with me, Alex Sobolev, both from Guardian Glass. We're getting deep into the bird discussion. And Heidi, this one again is one I feel like I know the space, but I don't know the space because you guys are teaching me. There's somebody new in the space, new organization, kind of keeping an eye on things. What's the rundown on that? Because I'm very curious.
Yeah, so it's less a new organization and more of a conglomerate.
Okay.
So it's the Bird Collision Prevention Alliance.
Okay.
Essentially, when the McCormick Place mass collision happened, October 5th of 2023, not that anyone's counting. Um,
I thought it was a lot. It was only 2023. I thought it
it
was
was only
before that.
2023. There
Wow.
have been several mass collision events prior to
Okay.
that. I
Okay.
think 2017 Galveston was a big one. There have been a couple notable ones in New York City,
Okay.
but
But that big one in McCormick was 2023. Wow. Okay.
yeah,
COVID
yeah.
COVID melted my brain. I have nothing left since then.
Seriously, it
But
simultaneously feels like yesterday, but also a really long time ago.
yes, yes.
Uh,
But go
but
ahead. I'm
yeah,
sorry. That's interesting. Go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah, no worries. Um, Also, before I get too distracted,
Yeah.
um, when pulling people into projects early, specifically bird people as
Yeah.
early as possible,
Right.
part of looking at a project is looking both at building shape and landscape, because then we can do risk assessments.
Right.
Like, if anyone had flagged McCormick Place back in the day, you literally cannot put a building in a more sensitive location than that. So you've got all these combinations of factors that play into what creates a risk.
Good ad. Good
Um,
ad. Thank you. Yeah. No doubt.
yeah, when you've got um, there's the Kipling retelling of The Blind Man and the Elephant.
Mhm.
Um, there's so many people working on collisions from so many different angles. We're approaching it from lights out perspectives. We're
Yes.
approaching it from ABC is doing material testing perspectives. Audubon is doing outreach and education. Cornell is heavy in the sciences, the apps, the data collection. So by pulling together lots and lots of interested parties and experts from across the board, the Bird Collision Prevention Alliance is focusing on messaging, better communication between orgs, sharing resources and materials, making sure we all have our story straight and we're talking about 2x2 rather than 2x4, that kind of thing, just to make sure that we are all referencing current information. And that was 15 different tangents,
No,
but
that was good. That was good. No,
that
I
covers
need
it.
I needed that, and so let's pop back to it's BCPA. Is that the initials
CPA.
on that? So
Mhm.
talk about that because and I have a question after that concerning that. Unless you answer it while you're giving me the answer, talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, well, so it's kind of broken into different working groups within BCPA. So there's communications, there's the glass and architecture group. I want to say there's an education and outreach group. Um, there's everything from like curriculums for actual architecture students, to I think Lights Out Texas folks have been working on curriculums for elementary school and middle school students. Um, yeah, I think we have over 200 organizations.
Nice, nice.
Don't quote me on that. It might be over 100 organizations with 200 people representing those. I think we have over 400 people in general
Okay,
involved, and that's, collision monitoring groups, lights out groups, obviously glass groups.
yeah,
Uh,
One of the interesting things that you see in the bird world is that every single city and town in the country pretty much has some kind of bird organization in that city and town. And they don't necessarily talk to each other. And it's
yes,
very similar on the bird research space and the bird advocacy space, where you do have all of these regional groups that are doing similar work, but doing to like smaller audiences. And uh, you lose something in that because
yeah,
no one's actually talking to each other, and they're not necessarily talking to the researchers that are kind of adding most to the conversation. They're not necessarily talking to industry, which also has important perspectives about what can be done and how to deploy it well. And this organization is sort of an effort to get everyone in the room together to better understand where is the science in the space, where is the communications, and making sure that everyone is working from uh, kind of the best science that we have and the best knowledge that we have in this space and best practices.
super. So it's like a trade group, like NGA in a way. So bringing people together, right? Or is it a little different than that?
It's broader because it's
Okay,
not really about NGA is about the glass businesses,
right.
and this has all sorts of organizations and individuals in it. Basically, anyone who's concerned about uh, birds and the built environment
Right.
can potentially participate about this. So it's fairly broad.
Gotcha, gotcha. And Heidi, my question was, when you started to talk, where does ABC fit into all this? Is this a competitor to ABC? Is ABC a part of it? How does ABC fit into this?
So ABC is a part of it. Audubon's a part of it.
Hmm.
Um, it's really a jigsaw puzzle that just keeps expanding because everyone has a role in there somewhere. Um, I mean, ABC plays more into it, I think, from the policy perspective. Um, they already share a lot of resources for activists and advocates wherever they are who are trying to get more awareness in their communities and push for change locally. So they've very strongly been part of that. And by the same token, FLAP in Canada is
Hmm.
also a large part of this as well. So again, trying to make sure that people don't think they have to reinvent the wheel just to have this discussion in their community and share resources is a big part of the challenge.
That is good, and I need to get deeper involved with that organization. I think it's smart. Quite frankly, I'm surprised it took us that long to figure it out, to bring it all together. I'm sure the two of you probably had your fingerprints all over it. So kudos to you guys on that one. Wrapping up, because again, I appreciate your time. Last question. I'll start with you, Alex. Your goal for 2026 in the bird friendly space. What's on the plate for you for 2026 in the bird friendly world?
Well, Guardian's launching a new bird-friendly product this year,
Okay,
our Bird First UV Jumbo. And
right.
then for 2026, my goal is to hopefully launch new technology that we're working on as well. So
Wow. Okay. Now, so would it be the fourth technology, or is it, you can't tell me? I'm very
it,
curious. You
it
know,
would be different. It would be the fourth. Yeah.
oh wow, wow, wow. Good deal. Good deal. That's exciting. Well, hey, the more that we can do in this space, the better. And before I get to you, Heidi, I mean, when I give my speeches, and I'll give in Texas a lot. And Texas right now is not really heavy into the bird friendly world, as you all know. And
That's great.
I will say you should be behind this for all the right reasons, but also, I mean, the right reasons are for the birds and for the environment, but also it's really good for business. I mean, it's a great product. It's good for the glass business. You don't have to plug it in. You don't have to install it differently. I mean, it's great for the glass business. You should be banging your chest for bird friendly everywhere for the right reasons and the business reasons. So sorry, that was my little tangent. Heidi, 2026, what do you see there? Probably me shutting up and talking about it, you talking about it. 2026.
I'm actually quite excited because Texas A&M University is in the process of adopting bird-friendly standards for their campus.
Nice.
Uh,
Excellent.
yeah, the Dallas Convention Center so far is looking like it's going to be bird-friendly.
Super.
There's talk of Austin passing a code. So you say Texas isn't quite there yet, but it is really, oh, it's so close. It's trying. It's trying.
Get it over that
Um,
finish line. My speeches will make more sense.
But
Yeah.
Texas is also like one of the best birding states in the country. But
And that's wild. They're a great birding state, yet they're behind.
They've got so much good habitat. It's
Yeah,
amazing. Um, yeah, so my vision for 2026,
please.
definitely way more progress in Texas. Austin and Nashville kind of have a country music rivalry.
Hmm.
Nashville is also considering a code, so I'm waiting to see like which one of them is going to to beat the other to it. Um, but yeah, anyway, I mean, every building matters, every state matters, every bird matters. So at this point, I just want to see more adoption, especially with firms like Studio Gang. They have made bird-friendly design like the baseline expectation for their
Huge.
projects.
Yeah.
So you can choose how you get a bird-friendly building, but you don't get to opt out of it. I think there is this understanding or misunderstanding that bird-friendly is like pro-bird, but bird-friendly building is literally just making a bird neutral building. It's
Yeah.
having as little impact on them as possible. So just seeing more education, awareness, interest, more demand would be fantastic. But again, I think the momentum is really getting there. And as more firms are paying attention and letting them know that, hey, you're actually future proofing your building
Hmm.
by building bird friendly. It's going to save you a ton of money if you have to retrofit like McCormick Place. That was what, $1.2 million.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, if you do it right the first time, great. but make sure you have the conversations early and often. And I mean, that's why I'm here to help. So looking forward to more of it in the future.
I love it. Make it the standard. Make it the standard.
Exactly.
It shouldn't be a an add-on. It should be the standard. And so I think you
It's like
guys are.
seat belts and airbags.
Mhm.
Like sometimes people take a while to get there, but ultimately it's for the best.
Excellent, excellent. Very, very cool. This has been great. I've been honored to have Heidi Trudell, Regional Technical Advisor, and Alex Sobolev, Channel Marketing Manager, Guardian Glass, two incredibly sharp people. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much
Thank
for your
you.
time. Look
It was
forward to
fun.
seeing you guys in person one of these days. So I really, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thanks
Thank you
for
so much.
hosting.
Appreciate it.
Take care.
Thank you. Okay, welcome back, and thank you to Heidi and Alex, and then before that, Kevin. Fun podcast, really appreciate them a ton. Thank you to FHC for the support of this podcast. They do have their new InstaQuote design and estimating program out. Check it out at FHC-USA.com. Good stuff from them. And then wrapping up, as always, the TV talk and a little Emmy-related TV talk. I've talked on this podcast about The Pit, unbelievably good TV show, and won a lot of Emmys this past week. And so you definitely want to check it out. If you have not seen it, HBO Max, The Pit, really, really good hospital show. Definitely one not to miss. And then out of the Emmys, I had never watched the show Adolescence, and so I'm going to give that a shot. It won a lot of Emmys. We're going to see what it's about. Some of you may have already watched it, and I may be missing out, but we're going to give that one a shot, Adolescence. But that's the TV talk for now. More next month. We got, a few more months left in this year. Lots of good guests lined up. Really excited on who I'm going to be bringing you, and really, again, appreciate all the support. You folks are the best, so thank you so much for taking care of me and checking out the podcast, and I look forward to seeing you all in person soon at Glassville. So yeah, that'll all happen soon. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.
Oh, the music is stopped.